Hello and welcome to Primal Impulse's DDLG class, version 1.0, written and presented by Taku VR. Hello for Primal Impulse, this server. I appreciate you all coming out. There's a very big disclaimer in front of this, and this is important, so please listen. In this discussion, we will be talking about consensual BDSM experiences between two or more consenting adults. It is important that when engaging in DDLG, that everyone be of legal age and no grooming has taken place. Everyone must have been 18 plus before discussions even began. If you feel like you're being abused, groomed, coerced in any way, I highly advise that you end your association with that person and report them to the authorities. Also, in this discussion, we'll be covering both sexual and non-sexual interactions with a daddy, mommy, and their little. And if this distresses you now or at any time during the class, please disconnect immediately and reach out to a friend or our staff for assistance. Event chat or me personally, you can send me a message directly without having to ask if it's about writing out on something. It is important to note that DDLG does not have to be sexual, and I have that in caps, does not have to be sexual. In fact, a lot of times it isn't. And if somebody is not comfortable being sexualized, they shouldn't be. End of story. DDLG and BDSM are not a replacement for therapy, nor should daddies or mommies be relied upon exclusively for helping a little through their trauma. Okay? That's very important. Let's go over the safety stuff first. Consent is a two-way street. So let's all do red. We run on a stoplight system. So red is arms crossed in front of you. If yellow is slow down, check in. We need to talk about something. For green, mean I consent to this, good to go, hit me harder, whatever, if you want to. That is green. So at any time, if you feel like your consent is being violated, disconnect immediately and contact me and or the staff and or anybody in the server, and we'll make sure that you're taken care of. So you're going to hear stuff in this class that I recommend that you do more research on before actually using it, because we're going to be touching on various different things. And this does include dark age play, so we will cover that in a bit. I will touch on it, but I won't go into deep detail. I recommend that if it's something that interests you, do a lot of research before actually performing it, okay? So, the definition, DDLG, which stands for Daddy Dom Little Girl. And from here on in, if I say daddy and little girl, it could also mean mommy little boy or mommy little girl, mommy, either or. It's all of that combined. DDLG is just one acronym for the entire group. So if I say one thing, anticipate that I mean everybody, including non-binary and gender fluid. Is a type of relationship dynamic and or sexual fetish or not that involves a dominant partner known as a daddy or dom and a submissive partner known as a little girl or sub or little boy. In this dynamic, the daddy is seen as nurturing and protective figure, while the little girl / boy is often viewed as innocent, playful, and in need of guidance. I honestly find this form of power exchange to be very caring and nurturing, and that's the way I like to run my DDLG dynamics. Some definitely do it differently, and that's okay. My style of dominance in this aspect is that of a guardian, watchful daddy who allows my little to make mistakes and helps them learn from it. I try not to overly spoil my charges, instead trying to relay a sense of independence while they are assured I am there in case something goes wrong. Safety should always be a top priority in any BDSM player dynamic, including DDLG. Before engaging in any DDLG activities, it is important for both parties to have an open and honest communication about their boundaries, limits, and any concerns that they may have. A safe word should also be established, stoplight system works, to help ensure that all play stays within agreed upon parameters and can be stopped at any time. The dynamics, we're doing a basic overview and then we'll dive into individual things in a little bit. The dynamics of a DDLG relationship can vary widely, with some being more focused on age play and others being focused on power exchange. Some couples may choose to incorporate elements of discipline and obedience into their dynamic, while others prioritize more nurturing and caring behaviors, although there is caring to the disciplines and obedience anyway. The specific style of DDLG will depend on the preferences and needs of the individuals involved. One common aspect of DDLG is age play. One partner takes the role of a childlike character, and the other takes the role of a caregiver. This can involve use of baby talk, pacifiers, diapers in the terms of ABDL, which we will cover later, and other items commonly associated with infancy. Age play can be a form of escapism, allowing individuals to explore a different aspect of their personality or to play out fantasies related to childhood. This can be either sexual or non-sexual, depending on the people involved. The decision for that needs to be respected and only changed beforehand with heavy discussions and never in the moment. If someone is pressuring somebody during the moment to change that, that is not okay, in my opinion, unless you have an agreed upon rule stating that that's okay. Again, this is everyone's aspects of this is different. There's no right or wrong way to do this. The only wrong way would be if someone's breaking consent intentionally. So the little may engage in behaviors such as seeking comfort, following rules, and seeking approval from their caregiver. This type of power dynamic can be very comforting and nurturing to littles, helping them feel cared for and protected. Safety. Also, if you have questions, go ahead and list them in the event chat, and I'll get to them while I segue, if they're related to the section I'm in. Safety in the DDLG lifestyle. Safety is an important consideration for anyone engaging in this activity. Here are some tips for practicing safety in the DDLG lifestyle. Establishing clear boundaries. Before engaging in any play, it's important to establish clear boundaries and communicate them openly to your partner. This also includes discussing activities that are off limits and that will not be broken. And what limits are in place and what types of consequences there will be if they're breached. The consequences are usually something was broken, we had to say red, let's avoid that in the future, and usually that that's usually the end of it, with a lot of cuddling and making sure everyone's okay. If it repeats itself, then it's a heavier discussion saying, there's a safety issue and we need to make sure that we're going to be safe in this aspect, and you need to listen to my consent. Using of a safe word, stoplight system, as I mentioned, prioritizing communication. Communication is key in any power exchange dynamic, and it's important to have open and honest and ongoing communication with your partner. That means before, during, and after. If you need to slow down or check in, you can say yellow, and that will stop the scene momentarily so you can have a discussion about something if something is not feeling right. And this also includes discussions of any concerns, talking about what feels good and doesn't, and making sure that both parties feel heard and respected. Seeking professional help. Now, again, I said at the beginning of this is not a replacement for therapy. Therapeutic play is not a replacement for therapy. If either party is struggling with any mental illness, such as trauma, anxiety, or depression, it is important to seek medical help before engaging in any kind of power exchange dynamic. A mental health professional can ensure that everyone involved is able to engage in the lifestyle in a safe and healthy way. There is a list out there if you look up kink-aware therapists in your area. You go to that website, you can find the insurance that you have, and you can get a therapist that actually understands what kink is. So I highly recommend that. And respecting each other's limits. As I said, it's important to respect each other's limits and to never engage in any player activity that makes any other party uncomfortable or non-consensual. If either party is feeling unsure about any aspect, stop and communicate. By following these tips, it's possible to engage in a lifestyle in a safe, respectful, and enjoyable way for all parties involved. Okay. So, dynamics. The dynamics of a DDLG relationship can be complex and often involve power exchange. In some cases, the daddy may take on a more authoritative role, setting rules and consequences for the little girl, while in other cases, as I said earlier, the dynamic may be more nurturing and focused on building a strong emotional connection between the partners. And most likely what you're going to see out in the wild is a mix of both, a healthy mix of both. Because there's going to be times when you have to be a little bit more strict as a daddy or mommy, and there's other times when you have to be more caring. And for the little, being able to bend that way and actually make concessions is very important. Because if you're doing a strict, this must happen, and if something, like for example, if the little stays up a little bit past her bedtime, that shouldn't be an immediate spanking, in my opinion. Again, this depends on the dynamic. But for me, I would have a conversation with the little and say, look, you need to behave, you need to do what you're told. Do you have any issues with that? Are you concerned with what we're doing? Talk to someone like a human. If it continues down that path and things aren't improved, that's when the spanking comes in, for me personally. There are changes to that, differences, but not in DDLG for me. If I'm dealing with someone that wants to be in a strict power exchange dynamic for DS or service submission, I may be less lenient, and that's because of the dynamic that's been established. But for DDLG, I'm usually a bit more, not soft, but you get what I mean, more forgiving of minor transgressions, because it's about the overall feel of the dynamic and the bond, and less about the rule of the law for me. Again, I'm not an authoritative like daddy dominant. I'm more authoritative in my primal / service. So I do distinguish the two. Sorry, tangent gone. Let's see. In a DDLG dynamic, the daddy may be seen as a caregiver, teacher, or mentor figure, while the little girl is often portrayed as, or little boy, and again, daddy, mommy. Little girl is portrayed as innocent, playful, and in need of guidance. The daddy may take a variety of roles, such as the disciplinarian, nurturing guardian, or playmate, depending on the preferences and or needs of the person involved and the timing. Again, things can move around and change. Always talk about it beforehand, though. The little girl, on the other hand, may take the role of a submissive, obedient, or even bratty child. She may even enjoy the power dynamic of the relationship and derive pleasure from surrendering control to her daddy. Bratting is fairly common in a DDLG environment, and allowances are sometimes given for that behavior, and a slow, patient correction is advised, as I discussed earlier. I got ahead of myself. It's important to note that the dynamics of a DDLG relationship are highly personal and will vary from couple to couple. Some couples may incorporate elements of discipline, obedience, and even punishment in the dynamic. Others prioritize something else. So I put together a list of some fun dynamics. It's an overview. I'm not going to go into detail on all of them unless people have questions, but these are ideas in order to incorporate into your own lifestyle. So for example, baby boy, baby girl, a little who takes on a more childlike persona, including baby talk and wearing age-appropriate clothing. A brat, a little who may engage in playful or mischievous behavior and may test their limits or challenge authority in a controlled and consensual manner. Age player, a little who engages in age play and may take on a persona of a different age, such as a toddler or a teenager. And here's just a list I'm going to go through. Anime little, fairy little, princess little, gothic little, childlike. This is a little who incorporates elements of childhood innocence and playfulness into their role play, but may not necessarily take on that specific persona. Little space, we'll go over that in a bit. Someone who incorporates regression and escape into their role play, and may engage in activities that allow them to feel like a carefree child. Mascot little, this one's interesting, may incorporate playfulness or cheerfulness into their role play, or be like, hey, they be someone's cheerleader kind of thing. Doll little, pirate little, robot little, superhero little, a little who takes on the persona of a superhero and may incorporate elements of heroism and bravery into the roleplay. Again, these are just ideas to sort of mix up and add into your dynamics or your future dynamics at a time. Angel little, monster little. Monster little is interesting. It may incorporate elements of playfulness and mischievousness into the roleplay, but not to the point of a brat. They're just being a little monster. Kind of like a Harley Quinn. Daddy's little monster. So I'm going to go over a couple different types of headspaces for littles. Again, in my experience, there are three main types of littles. Is that three? Okay, I can do three, the German three. The first is someone who likes to pretend to be the age that they're comfortable being in little space. This can be augmented by the use of tools that we mentioned previously, or with the assistance of daddy/mommy. Here's an example from Reddit. For me, I'm a little, but I don't age regress. My little age is probably 3 to 6, but at no point does my brain revert to that level of development. My little space in my brain is more like turning off responsibility factor than anything else. I don't feel like I'm 3, but I like things and activities that a 3-year-old might, like coloring and drinking from a sippy. So that's actually a fairly common form of little. The second one is a little who stopped mentally aging at a certain point due to trauma that they experienced. For example, said person could be 5-year-old mentally, but have had to adapt to being an adult and tempered those experiences with the life that has been given to them. I mentioned this in a couple different things already. I had a Fox play partner that I mentioned a few times, and this was exactly the case. She walked around as a 5-year-old all the time and adapted to all the situations presented to her. She was never off. It was always on because she could not age past that point due to trauma. And she handled it very well. That is a lot of littles have that, and that's what they are, and that's okay. And they have to deal. And again, their therapy helps. Having friends around that understand helps. The third type of little is someone who will mentally regress back to an age, either voluntarily or involuntarily, usually right before the trauma in their life happened. This may come as a separate personality or headspace, and someone who has full, partial, or no memory of their adult self. This is called age regression. It is well documented in medical circles. Some of this is including DID, dissociation identity disorder. So that's why it's recommended that if people are experiencing this, and they make sure to contact a health professional in order to make sure it's within the realms of something that should happen. Of course, being a little is not a bad thing, but you need to make sure you're staying safe and it's not going to be a destructive experience. So, as I said, this is well documented. WebMD states age regression therapy involves acting younger than you are, whether it's only a few years younger than your current age or returning to a childlike or infant-like state. Age regression therapy, not play, age regression therapy can help you handle and deal with the pressures of everyday life. It's also used in hypnotherapy and psychology to help people with trauma. Now, daddies and mommies are not psychologists. We facilitate a safe space to be yourself and to experience these emotions. We're not equipped to help you with the trauma that caused it. So just make sure of that. But if you are this type of little, if you are this type of little, you are definitely not alone. It can be scary, but usually it's a very safe place that you can experience and have someone near, a trusted friend, partner, etc., that can aid in this. I know there are a few littles who experience regression in the server, so please use the channels provided for support if you need to. I would love to go into more detail on this specific form, or all three types of littles and others that I discovered down the line. But I've been in this community for about 15 years plus, and those are the three types that I've kind of seen in general. There are fringe cases, but those are the main groups. And I think I'm going to go into detail in a future class or possibly a YouTube video, so keep an eye out for that. What do littles get out of the DDLG dynamic? Littles in a DDLG dynamic can experience various benefits, including emotional and psychological fulfillment. Some common reasons that individuals enjoy the little aspect of DDLG is feeling cared for and protected. Littles may enjoy the nurturing and caring aspect of the DDLG environment, where they feel like the caregiver or dominant who looks after them has their well-being in mind and provides them with structure and guidance. Escaping the stress and responsibility, these may sound like repeats from the other one, because they are. They do carry over between one dynamic and another. Pet play, service submission, DDLG, they all have similar feelings associated to them. It's just going about in a different way. Escaping stress and responsibility, littles enjoy the experience of escaping the stress and responsibilities of everyday life and assume a more carefree childlike mindset. Feeling special and valued, littles may feel special and valued by their caregiver, who may provide them with attention, praise, and encouragement, and lots of hugs, and improving self-esteem. Littles may find that their self-esteem improves as they received positive reinforcement from their caregiver or dominant, and feel appreciated and or valued for who they are. What do daddies and mommies get out of a DDLG dynamic? It's important to know that stuff too. Dominance in a DDLG environment can experience various benefits, including emotional and psychological fulfillment. Again, same thing. Some common reasons include providing care and support. Caregivers may enjoy the opportunity to provide care, support, and guidance to their little, helping them feel safe and secure. Enhancing the power exchange and control. You may enjoy the feeling of power and control that comes with being the dominant role in the DDLG relationship. Providing structure and rules for the little to follow. Fulfilling nurturing instincts. It's all in us. We all want to be nurturing. It's sort of a parental sort of guideline there. We want to make sure that our nurturing instincts are fulfilled as we care and support for our littles, helping them feel fulfilled and satisfied. Improving communication and intimacy. We may find that our skills in that have improved as we establish trust and a deeper understanding with each other and our littles. Again, there are relationships where there's a mommy and 4 littles, 5 littles, what have you. That's okay. So let's go over a typical day in DDLG. A typical day in DDLG will vary greatly from person to person, and each individual's experiences or interests will be unique to them. However, here's a general idea of what a typical day may look like for someone in the DDLG community. You wake up, and this is assuming a little bit that you have a remote relationship, because this is VR, but this also works for in-person, okay? So you wake up, a little in a DDLG dynamic may start their day by checking in with their daddy or mommy, either through text or phone call, or verbally if they're living together. Morning routine. They may go through their morning routine like brushing their teeth and getting dressed, but they may choose to wear clothing that reflects their submissive or childlike roles in the dynamic, or what their daddy or mommy requests them to wear. Work and school. They may go to work and school like anybody else, but they may need to keep their DDLG dynamic hidden from others. Having friends who know is okay, but it's pretty normal for not to be public with your lifestyle choices is to protect you because, again, the stigma involved. If you want to be public with it, that is your decision and absolutely okay, but I advise caution. Free time. In their free time, a little may engage in activities that reflect their submission or childlike role, such as playing with toys, watching cartoons, engaging in age play, and role play with their daddy and mommy. Communication with daddy or mommy, the little may check in with their caregiver regularly throughout the day, either through texts or phone calls to receive guidance, support, or encouragement. If you have daddy, mommy, little time together to communicate, or you have daddy little time, mommy little time together to communicate questions, concerns, issues, ideas, or loving thoughts. Playtime. The little may engage in playtime with their daddy or mommy, which may involve activities like age play, role play, or submission exercises. That leads into the fact that this can also spread across multiple disciplines and multiple dynamics. You can be a service submissive and still be a little. You can be a pet and still be a little. It's fine. So you can do submission exercises at night. It's fine. You can also be a sexual little in that way and sort of incorporate that part, but that's up to you and your partner. Bedtime. The little may have a bedtime ritual or routine that includes checking in with their daddy or mommy, or being tucked in by them and being read a story, or they can wear a special item like a onesie or a collar to bed. ABDL, which stands for Adult Baby Diaper Lover, is a subculture and fetish community centered around the act of role-playing as an adult baby or diaper wearer. Not my forte, not something I experience on a daily basis, so take this as a research method and not coming from a place of authority. This can involve wearing diapers, using baby-like objects, and engaging in activities that are associated with infancy, such as crawling, sucking up pacifiers, and engaging in age regression roleplay. Usually, adult babies will revert back lower than a lot of DDLG people to a lower age, 1, 2, 3, and that's okay. It can be seen as a form of escapism, allowing individuals to explore their inner child, tap into their playful and carefree side. For some, it also provides a sense of comfort as they associate being in diapers with a time they felt safe and secure. The differences between the two dynamics, ABDL and DDLG, are related but distinct kink and fetish communities. ABDL, these acronyms are going to be the death of me, is a fetish community centered around the act of regressing to a childlike state, often through the use of adult-sized diapers, pacifiers, or baby clothing. This fetish is primarily centered around the fetishization of objects and clothing associated with the infancy and childhood. DDLG, on the other hand, is a power exchange dynamic with two consenting adults where one partner takes on the role of the caregiver and the other takes on the role of the little girl or boy. In the dynamic, one acts as the caregiver or disciplinarian, the other acts as a submissive, playful, or child role. The focus in this, though, is the power exchange dynamic and the nurturing, mentoring aspects of the relationship usually, or, again, sexual aspects. While there are overlaps between the communities and individuals may identify with both, they are distinct communities with different focuses and dynamics. Here is something from the ABDL subreddit wiki. Why are some people attracted to diapers? Without venturing into the psychological analysis of why humans have fetishes, the reason why diapers and infantilism would hold a special significance to a person comes down to that individual and his personal experiences. A person may choose to wear diapers for the comfort or sexual interest. Others may find infantilism an alternative to medication. There are a few, but by no means are they all the reasons why people discover an interest in diapers. It's been discussed and largely agreed upon that the primary source of diaper interest among adults is rarely having experienced abuse as a baby or a child. The ABDL community is in agreement with the psychological community that an interest in diapers is not to be confused with sexual interest in children, and that's the same with DDLG. Many ABDL individuals can tell you how they discovered diapers, but the origin of that interest and emotional attachment is often subconscious. Now, a typical day for someone in ABDL. Okay, wake up, start the day, changing out of a wet or soiled diaper, which they may have worn overnight. Morning routine. They may go through the morning routine like brushing their teeth and getting dressed, but may choose to wear adult-sized diapers or other baby items as part of their clothing, as part of their fetish underneath. Go to work and school. Same thing applies. May need to keep their fetish hidden from others. but that's up to you. Free time, you may engage in various activities that fit within your fetish, such as playing with baby toys, coloring books, or wearing and using adult-sized diapers. Again, there's some overlap here with DDLG. Playtime, it could involve regressing to a childlike state, wearing baby clothes or baby diapers, and engaging in activities such as playing with toys, watching cartoons, or having a caregiver-style relationship with their partner. At bedtime, you may choose to wear a diaper and engage in bedtime routines, like being read a bedtime story. Now, you can see there's some overlap, as I said, but they are two distinct things, and I highly recommend researching more. I'm not an authority on this. This is what I went down a small rabbit hole this morning looking into this, and this is what I found. So hopefully it's enough to sort of put you on the path that you, if you're interested in something like this, to go down and explore. So, DDLG, ABDL, and the stigma. There is often a lot of controversy around DDLG relationships, as they can involve sexual elements. However, it's important to point out that as long as both partners are happy and willing to take part, there's absolutely nothing wrong with enjoying this kind of relationship, as long as you're over 18 and of legal age. There is some controversy with this, though, and as you can tell by the smaller session, it can make other people uncomfortable, and that's okay. It's fine. We're trying to undo that stigma by explaining it and educating. But I went on a website called Lovegasm. I did some research with them for the pet play stuff. This is a quote from there. One such area is DDLG, a fetish where one partner will take on the role of a child and the other is a carer. As you might expect, DDLG is looked upon unfavorably by those outside of the fetish, especially due to the sexual nature of some of the relationships that these explore. Again, some of them. The most obvious consideration is whether DDLGs can be harmful to you. This isn't a consideration specific to DDLG, but it's brought up considering the wider BDSM community. There is often a view that people who enjoy DDLG or BDSM must be damaged or mentally unhealthy in some way. They enjoy things that normal people don't enjoy or like, so they must be not normal. Luckily, there has been research done specifically into these kinds of relationships, and the results tend to be better than people imagine. In fact, not only do a lot more modern studies find that many BDSM practitioners are perfectly healthy and happy, they also tend to find that these people are more healthy than those who don't enjoy bedroom kinks. Some of the potential ways you can benefit include being more willing and open to experience new things, less sensitivity to rejection because you're having conversations about stuff you like and don't like, a higher level of consciousness, less likely to suffer from neuroticism, being more extroverted and willing to talk to other people, and subjectively experiencing higher levels of well-being. While there are also those who believe many of these darker fantasies are much more deeply rooted in human experience, and even if they don't come to the surface, we all have these desires within us. Many believe that by experiencing and expressing our darker side, we give ourselves a release which stops these emotions and feelings from becoming bottled up inside of you. DDLG specifically also explores the fundamental aspects of human nature. We are all caring creatures deep down, and although some of us enjoy being cared for while others enjoy caring for others, you can indulge in this tendency in a completely safe way, which can provide all kinds of benefits and improvements to your mood. Now, if you subscribe to the Patreon, I'll have these notes available to you so you can see all of that quote. I will post the links to all my research to all who want to watch it or want to look at it. So more things you might hear out there about the DDLG. So here's some examples of things you might hear out in the wild. It is harmful or abusive. Some individuals believe DDLG is abusive or harmful, as it often involves power dynamics or role-playing that can be misinterpreted as exploitative. Done respectfully and without abuse and with consent, it is a consensual way to express yourself amongst someone you trust or people you trust, okay? It is not a real, this is another thing that people say, it's not a real form of love. Some people view DDLG as not being a genuine form of love or affection and may dismiss it as just a fetish or kink. That is absolutely not true. The bond between a caregiver and their charge or charges is very real and can be very rewarding for both or all parties. I am an example of that. I am a daddy. I've been a daddy for a long time, and I do enjoy these kinds of activities with people that are consensually involved with me. Again, not everyone who's involved with me or has any kind of interaction with me is into something like this, but for the people that are, it tends to be a very positive experience. There are some cases, though, when someone tries it and they said it's not for me. Perfectly okay. That's why another thing that's said is these are people with unresolved childhood issues. Some individuals may believe that people that are into this want to revert to a childlike state rather than recognize it as a legitimate form of adult play. This one does have some merit, as some of it use it as a form of therapeutic play, but it's important to remember that therapeutic play is not a substitute for therapy, and it's also something that is healthy to do with someone that is consenting and is not harming anybody. It is not a valid form of self-expression. Some individuals may see DDLG as an illegitimate form of self-expression and may dismiss it as a way to excuse or justify abusive or non-consensual behavior. Consent is so important, even for dark age play. It's very important for all parties to watch out for themselves, because some people use it as an excuse to abuse somebody. So if you're feeling abused, you're not in a DDLG dynamic, and you need to leave it and or report this person, or have a serious discussion with them, okay? I harp on the safety a lot, but especially with littles, there's a lot of innocence there and it can be exploited. So you need to make sure that you're watching out for yourselves and each other, okay? I harp on that a lot when it comes to DDLG. It's important to realize that these stigmas often stem from a lack of understanding or knowledge, and it's important to recognize that individuals who engage in these dynamics do so consensually and with the understanding that their activities are safe and respectful. And it's an important aspect of their personal and sexual relationships in some occasions. How do you get support? There are several resources available to people in the DDLG and ABDL lifestyles, online forums and communities like this. There are several online forums and communities located in DDLG. I mean, you're looking at Reddit, FetLife, Discord servers. Make sure you're in ones that are healthy and that expressing consent is good and important. Online shops. There are tons of online shops that you can get stuff for this, including Amazon. Lots off of Etsy. You can get equipment, diapers, onesies, pacifiers, and other items. Shopping online can be a convenient and discreet way of obtaining these products. Books and articles. There's a wealth of literature out there that go over the dynamics, safety, and ethics of DDLG and ABDL. These can be found in books, articles, blog posts written by experts in the field. I'm in no way an expert in the field. I just want people to be more safe in what they're doing and share kink with everybody, and to make sure that they're doing it safely and in a loving way. And that can provide information and insights into those interested. Workshops and events like this one. Many cite that workshops and events that focus on DDLG and ABDL are great opportunities to meet others who share your interests and learn more about the lifestyle. Some popular events include kink and BDSM conventions and play parties. Again, if you're going to a play party, I recommend going to a munch first. Do not just go straight to a play party. And remember, if you do go to a play party, you are not required to play at all. That is your choice. And I actually recommend, if you go to a party for the first time, don't play at all. Just look, just watch. So I'm going to say this as a last part here. I blew through that last part. Okay. It's important to note that when exploring these lifestyles, you prioritize safety and consent. This includes making sure to educate yourself on safe BDSM practices, setting clear boundaries and limits with partners, and seeking professional help if necessary. I also recommend that if you're with someone new, to vet them and make sure that they are someone that they say they are. Ask for references. Send them some vetting questions. I have a big list in the consent and safety area of the Kink Resources channel /forum in this actual server, and do your research on who you're dealing with, because you want to make sure that you're staying safe.